Good day, everybody. You're welcome to Virtual Learning Pedagogy, a course by Kudarina Education and Technology Foundation in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Education, Nigeria, and NITDA and Bevan Fowler Memorial School. Sorry, we're starting a couple of 10 minutes behind schedule. We have to kind of like resolve some things about technology. So, uh, remember that we've actually started these for like 3 weeks behind. It started on July 18th, and we've done sessions for week 1, week 2, and week 3. So if you have not been able to uh, be part of the class, you can actually still join. It's still very much open for you. So uh, uh, our wonderful facilitators have actually been able to do justice to uh, the topics that we've actually done on virtual learning pedagogy. Then you can always go to forum.codarina.net to get more information about this course and a whole lot more that Codarina Foundation offers. Then make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel that you're watching this on. It's very important because we have a whole lot of information to actually share with you. Uh, yeah, so if you have any issue whatsoever in joining the course, you can always send an email to hello@codarina.org, hello@codarina.org for a resolution as fast as possible. Uh, then I'm good with the basic information for now. So today I'm going to bring on my presenter, my facilitators. So they will just say, all of them will say I right now before we go straight into the session. So Irene, yeah, your mic.
Hi
Okay, Jenny,
everyone. Hello.
yeah,
Good
okay.
afternoon. Good
So
afternoon, everyone.
exactly. So I have 4 facilitators. So it's going to really be a massive learning platform for us today. So get ready. So I'll take them backstage now, and we will start with uh, Karen. Yeah. So the first person we're going to be bringing on the platform today is Karen. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring her on, and I'm going to bring up uh, the presentation too as well. So Karen is a professor uh, at the University of Eswatini in Swaziland, and she's the coordinator of linguistics and modern languages and literature, and also the Institute of Distance Education at the school. So you're going to be going through Karen's presentation right now. So Karen, you're welcome.
Thank you. Wonderful to be with you all here.
All right. So Karen already has a presentation that I'm going to be playing out for you right now. So uh, let's watch.
look at is facilitator presence. How should you show yourself? How should you be online facilitation? Today, we're going to look a little bit more at online facilitation. I mean, you've done a lot of work already with all kinds of different tools, and so you're quite aware now, how to do things in an online environment. But one of the important points that we haven't looked at is online facilitation. And in 2013, Bull noted that an online facilitator needs to be different persons, needs to have or play different roles, like a cheerleader, a social butterfly, a learning coach, but also a valve control. And we're going to look a little bit deeper in that. So the question is, what is facilitation? What is online facilitation? And some of the tips I will give you are about facilitating learning and facilitating discussion. Okay, now when we start with the notion of online facilitation, of course, we are thinking about the fact that it is still facilitation, but it's done in a different space. So in the chat room, I would like you to say what words come to your mind when you think about facilitation. What does that mean? So when we do online facilitation, in fact, we should pay attention to all the core elements of face-to-face facilitation, and those are space, people, and process. So you have to be able to hold a safe space, foster trust and bonding among the group, manage your participants' energy, and vary the activities that you plan based on the different learning styles. So these elements are as crucial, if not more, in an online or virtual environment. One of the things that we need to look at is facilitator presence. How should you show yourself? How should you be visible? How should you be present? And creating that sense of presence is done in a different way than in a face-to-face classroom. So your online facilitator presence consists of discussion posts, administrative instructions, correcting misconceptions or misperceptions, putting your online your profile image or putting a photo, but also giving feedback on assignments, on multimedia activities, and most importantly, in online discussions. So how do you create it? You should be creating it from the word go, so from the beginning. And it is very important because that is when you set the tone. That is when you build that learner community. That is when you clarify the expectations for the rest of the course. So effective facilitation goes into the various tasks that you have when you are teaching in an online environment, supporting your diverse learners, building and sustaining community, managing a course, but also modeling effective facilitation, for example, in an online discussion. So what skills are needed for this? And again, I would like you to go into the chat room and write them down. We will discuss your answers soon. So the capacities, the capabilities, the competencies or skills required for facilitating learning online can be organized in 5 categories. Supporting online learning, they are also social skills, communication skills, technical skills, and social networking skills. And for now, you've already looked at many of the technical skills you need, but the others still need a bit of work, I think, and possibly you may think the same. So you should model a positive and professional presence throughout your course, and you should plan effectively. That also includes managing your time effectively. Giving regular feedback to your learners is as important as seeking regular feedback from your learners, because as soon as you've got feedback, you can adapt, you can change. So you should use a variety of questioning techniques to extend and deepen discussions. We will get to that in a short while, and also explore pedagogical approaches that enrich your facilitation practice. So keep on learning, as we have said, and as many other of my colleagues have said from the beginning, keep on learning, develop new technical skills, explore new tools, and also look at new pedagogical approaches. So when and how should we use discussion forums? Okay, that's of course a good question, and that is part of what you need to decide. How often will you be participating as a facilitator? What is your role in the discussions? When will you be absent from a discussion? Yeah, so sometimes it's better to have the students work together as peers. What is your learner's role in the discussion, and how do you as the facilitator support that role? And you need to remember that you could be facilitating, but you could also ask your student to facilitate and lead a discussion. So poor participation in online discussion has been identified as the biggest and the most frustrating challenge for those of us who teach online. And poor participation includes students posting no or few messages, or posting questions or messages that are completely unrelated to the topic or not even appropriate for discussion, or students also demonstrating superficial or surface level critical thinking or understanding. And remember, one of the things we need to do to ensure that our learners can fit in our societies is to develop their critical thinking and their creativity. So how can we change poor into active participation as an online facilitator? We should be asking good questions. And question is, what are good questions? Open-ended questions are often good questions because they allow the learner to look for more information, to find out what his peers are saying, and to develop his or her thinking. So, for example, a good question would be, how do you see a particular plan as adequate to the problem given? And what makes you think so? Where might that plan derail? Where might it go wrong? And what other plans are possible? Can you propose plan B or C? So good questions are also questions that invite your learners to share their point of view from their personal life, from their work or professional life, and that will generate multiple perspectives. So by sharing their personal experiences and ideas, it allows the learner an opportunity to create a learning community where they can learn from each other and get new ideas. So if we ask good questions, we should allow learners to integrate their knowledge and comprehension of concepts, but also apply, analyze, synthesize, and evaluate these concepts in real world scenarios. And then we go back to Bloom's taxonomy, of course, for those of us who know about that. And if not, please do a little Google search on Bloom's taxonomy. So how can we change that poor into active participation? Some more tips: share our expectations, because expectations create guidelines for our learners to engage. And without clear expectations, why would students be participating in online discussions? So here on the screen, you see a number of different types of expectations that can help support student participation in your online discussions. So now the only thing that remains is for me to thank you for listening to this short presentation, and we can go back to the online session where I am present to discuss some more with you and ask if you have any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for this session, Karen. Yeah, Karen is still going to come back later on to talk about feedback. So then you can always, in the chat place, Karen has actually asked a whole lot of questions that you need to respond to. So please go ahead and do the response. So thank you, Karen. I'm going to be moving on to the next presenter right now. Let me get my screen. Let me get things off screen. So the so Jenny is backstage. So I'm going to bring in Jenny. Jenny, you're welcome.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and to learn with us. I look forward to seeing you in this week's conversations as well as part of week 4 in the course. I'm just going to share my screen and talk through a presentation for a short while. And I'm hoping you can see my screen and hear me simultaneously.
Absolutely.
Very good.
We can see you. Yeah. So
I'm going to turn on my live captioning as well. If you have questions about how I'm doing that, you can ask me in the chat later. So again, thank you so much, John and Karen, Kemi, and Irene. It's really great to be with you as a facilitation group. Karen's presentation, you will hear a lot of echoes in what Karen just said in my presentation as well. And hopefully this is just reinforcing these ideas. I met with all of you, or some of you who are here in week 1. My name is Jenny Heyman. I am Chair of Teaching and Learning, which means I'm responsible for supporting faculty members at a small college in about 4 hours north of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. And I love my work engaging with faculty members, especially about online learning, especially right now. So my presentation is about encouraging observers to be more active. So as Karen indicated, there are some learners in your course who may not be actively participating. What can you do about that? So today's learning work for us is to consider the tools of community building that are available, tips for building trust and care, and these are really 2 very important elements. Imagine also how you might foster enhanced community interaction among your learners. You will have many keen learners, smart learners who are already quite busy in your courses, but here I want to talk about those who are not as busy. So I want to talk to you about 2 things that happen. So in the literature and research of online learning, there's this terrible term called lurking that's used. So if you Google online articles about online teaching, you will see the lurkers and lurking. And I see the picture on the left. I feel like the cat in this picture is definitely lurking. And there's some sort of negative connotations to that idea. And I prefer, and I keep trying to advocate in the literature that we use the term observing more. Students are observing for a lot of different reasons. Reasons that we can see and reasons that we can't. Some learners are more quiet, they're more observational, they're more introverted. Perhaps they don't have access to the right tools for learning. So I just want to bring that to your attention. If you're looking for more information about this concept of students who are not participating actively, lurking is a term you can look up, but I want you to shift it to observing. So there are some tools in your learning management system. If you're using Moodle, for example, as we are using in this course, I can see in the background a lot of information. If I am the course facilitator or educator, I can see how many participants. There are 155 participants who signed up for this course, which is really amazing. And I can also see, and this is a little scary for learners sometimes to learn, exactly what you've clicked on and what day you've clicked on it. So some learning management systems have a lot of surveillance tools in them. So you want to be a little bit careful about surveilling your students and holding them accountable for how much time they're spending in the course and so on. But that information can be available to you depending on the platform that you're using. One of the other things you can do to know more about who's participating and who's not is to compare a list of your participants against those that you can see are in discussion forum, for example. And then you can think through who's missing, and you can be curious and wonder why they might be missing. Who's attending your live session? That's a little bit easier for you to see. Who's watching them later? So if you post your video into your learning management system like Moodle, how many students have clicked on it to watch it? You might be able to know. Another way of learning more about your learners' participation is early assessments, very low stakes. So who's understanding the material, who is not? You can find out by giving them, a small quiz or something to get a sense of that. And here, I just want to make sure that you're careful about not assuming why students are not participating. It's often not because they're lazy. It's because of other things that are happening in their lives. You can ask them. So if you have other channels, email or other contact information for your students, you can reach out to those who have not been very participatory and express your care. You can send an email that says, I noticed that you haven't been participating in the first couple of weeks of the course. I just want to reach out and make sure that you are able to access the course, that you don't have any barriers to your learning and so on. And make sure that you let them see that you care. So again, as I said, in my learning management system, I can see here's a student with a little graph. The student was very active in the first week of the course, but not since. And again, that's information I can kind of see, and I want to be careful when I reach out to that student to say, hey, I haven't seen you in weeks 2 and 3, but would love to see more participation from you. How can I help? And then here we have a student, without giving away any personal identification, who's been very busy in the course, has clicked on all kinds of things. And again, this is information I can see in our Moodle learning management system, which is really helpful to me as a caring educator. So when I say those students who are observing, as a facilitator, I always am concerned about those students, and I want to encourage them to come out of their shells in a few different ways. And this is, again, keeping in mind, some of them are shy, some of them are stressed, some do not have access to the internet or devices, some are confused, and that's where that early assessment, a quiz or something, can help. So reach out to them, encourage them to do their best, and ask how you can help. One of the ways that you can help is ensuring that you make your course a safe space for learners. And here's, lots of bullet points about that. Many learners might feel ashamed for asking a simple question. I don't know where to find the course outline, and I know it's important. Where can I find it? If a learner feels like an imposter, and this happens so much, they feel like they're not really smart enough to be in this course or at the university or college or in the program, and often they won't engage because they're feeling that their skills are not as good as others. If they don't feel part of the majority, if they're a different social or economic class, a different religion or culture, they're less likely to share. And if that learner is an observer, an introvert by nature, which I am, they're less likely to participate in discussions, but that doesn't mean they're not learning. And this is really important. Students and learners who are observers are often learning just as much, but it's difficult for you to see. So here's how you help them feel welcome, help them feel safe, acknowledge your own experiences of these things. You were a learner once. And if you weren't a particularly good learner or a successful learner, or there was some point in your learning career as a young learner where you were made to feel ashamed by a teacher, if you share those experiences with learners, it might help them come out of their shell. And also point out the diversity of learners in the class and how important diversity is for good learning, how valuable it is to hear different perspectives and hear different stories. There's a wonderful article, and I'll make sure that this makes it into our Week 4 Learning Shell, called A Pedagogy of Kindness. It's by a woman named Catherine Denial, and it's part of a group of educators called Hybrid Pedagogy. And she's written a wonderful article in 2019 called A Pedagogy of Kindness. And 2 things that she talks about are really important in terms of building trust and care with learners. The first one is believing students. So if a student tells me they don't have a printer at home, their access to their internet wasn't working, they had to work extra hours at work this week and couldn't get their work done, we often perceive as educators that these are excuses from students about why they're not doing their work. But what they actually are valid and important reasons why they are not. And if we think about our own lives, there's lots of important reasons that I can't get something done. So believing students is really an important part of building trust. The other thing she talks about is believing in students. And what she means by this is believe that students already have knowledge. They already have good skills. They have strengths. They have talents and gifts. And the more that in our course facilitation we can leverage those gifts and invite them to share those gifts with each other, the more successful they will be. And for those observer students, the more likely they will be to participate. One of the things that's important about getting students to participate is building grassroots community. So in your course design, if you make a space for learners to build community with each other, that will help them feel more connected peer-to-peer. And so you can create a hallway conversation discussion forum. It's just for learners. You stay out of it, and you make a promise to the students that you're going to stay out. They can talk with each other there. If they have a problem, they can send you an email or something like that in terms of respect building. Model what that community building looks like and provide some practice for students to share with and help each other in discussion forums, for example. Encourage learners to seek help from each other and to offer to help each other. And this is just good civic responsibility. There are learners in your course for whom it's very easy and they're way ahead. Encourage those learners to reach out and support and help without shaming again, and model that. Learners who are struggling a bit more, who need a bit more support and help, get them to help each other. And then provide those low stakes opportunities for participation, easy, fun activities, which I know takes away time from important learning in your discipline and your subject, but building those social relationships are just as important. Another thing you can do to encourage learners is this example of bridging. Explain to learners why you want them to participate, what you want them to do, how long it might take them to do it. The more you explain things, and there's good literature, and I'll find at least one article to share with you on this, the more you explain things to learners very explicitly, the more likely they are to do the activity, because you've taken the time and demonstrated the care to tell them why you want them to do a thing and exactly what you want them to do. Front-end loading. So in the first part of your course, this is where I want you to spend the heart of your time and energy encouraging learners. If your course is 10 or 12 weeks long or 14 weeks long, toward the middle to the end, learners will have become used to the environment and used to each other and support each other without as much encouragement from you. So at the beginning, how much support can you provide? How much can you model community and relationship building? Again, asking learners to be generous with each other and doing an early survey. And there's a facilitation strategy called Stop, Start, Continue. Just ask them, what would you like me to stop doing that you don't like? What would you like me to start doing that would be helpful to you? And what would you like me to continue doing that you like in the course? And that's really just a simple way of hearing their voices and again, building that trust because you've asked them. And finally, I encourage you to do creative and fun activities as part of the learning. The more you can tie that to your discipline and what you're trying to teach, the better, but that's not always possible. So for example, you could encourage learners to share a picture of someone in their family or community who's laughing and use the discussion. Then get them to share a story, tell a story, and here they're practicing their writing skills, their storytelling skills. They're figuring out how to add a photo to the learning management system. All kinds of other, hidden things that they're learning, but that it still might be a joyful activity for them to do. So these are just some of the ways that you can encourage those reluctant and more quiet learners to participate actively. So your call to action from my perspective for this is, what strategy might you use in one of your fall courses or upcoming courses that encourage activity among learners? Reflect, how might you enhance trust and care with your learners? And think, what is one creative and fun way that you might use technology to engage and encourage those observers? And those are my slides. That's my presentation. And I look forward to talking with you in questions and hearing from Irene and Kemi about what they have learned in their experience.
Oh, thank you, Jenny, for this very fantastic presentation. Okay, our participants have already gotten used to the fact that you speak the way your presentation goes, and it's really, really fantastic. So thank you so much. Thank you. I already asked you a question backstage on what you just talked about right now. Yeah, so thank you so much. So we'll bring you back on when we're rounding off. So thank you. So I'm bringing in Irene. Irene, where are you? Yeah,
Yay!
yeah, you're
Hey,
welcome. Yeah, so
thank you.
Irene is an expert facilitator. Uh, she's one of the key facilitators of the facilitating online course of the CILT department at University of Cape Town in South Africa. So Irene is Kenyan, so we're glad to have you around here. Yeah, so I'm going to push your presentation on right now. So
Thank you.
give me just a second. Okay, yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah, here you go. So you can go ahead, Irene.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Irene Maweu, but in YouTube, I am Wavinya Maweu. So don't worry. No, it's okay. Go on, go to the next one. I'm just going to be very hands-on with my presentation today. So there is a word that I created that is called moodometer. Moodometer is checking on the mood of the people. If we have speedometer, if we have thermometer, why can't we have moodometer? So in the chat in YouTube, please, where you are, tell me how you are feeling with one word. Explain how you are feeling today, and we'll see how that goes. I'll give that a few, like 2 minutes. Please tell me how you are feeling in with just a word. Yeah, just a word. How are you feeling today? How is your mood? Yeah, happy. Yes, Jenny is happy. One word about how you feel today. Yeah. You are doing the dab, Dr. Karen. Favor is Jacob is feeling great. You can tell I'm feeling excited. Yeah, you can feel the energy through. I'm sure you can feel it. Excited, very happy. You're feeling better. Tired, or I hope to make you feel better by the end of my presentation. Yeah, grateful. Oh, yes, it's good to be grateful, encouraged, refreshed. That's John. Oh, yeah. I'm feeling great. Yes. Someone is feeling good. Another one is feeling cool and super. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, it's always good to check on the feeling of the people, because that kind of is the human part of facilitation. And I always do this. I always like checking how people are feeling. So I'm so happy that you've shared how you feel today. It's not always easy to share how you feel. And sometimes we tend to say what we expect people to hear. But if it's possible, make sure that people say how they feel at that particular time, not what they expect you to hear. So, John, the next one. The other thing that we do is, I borrowed this from Dr. Karen. I borrowed this from you. The only thing I added in this slide is think. Being good digital citizens, we need to just care about what we put out there, and think is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Think. But I still believe that by the end of this course, by the end of the weeks that we are here, we can actually connotate our own think. We can do our own think in our own language, in our own settings, in our own whatever it is. You can put it together, put think together for yourself. So I put it there, and I hope that as we continue, we are going to come up with our own think. We are going to put it in our own language, language that we understand. As I always say, we are going to decolonize think. So the next one, please. The other thing, as you can see, I'm being helped by John, who is on the other side. He's running my slides. And that really helps, because then there's someone else who is helping you out. And it's really nice to have a co-facilitator and do these things. Now, what do we understand? Because we are going to talk about online conflict and online violence. What do we understand by this? And what we are going to do is, I would like you to join me in this, in my PowerPoint. Can you see that? Oh, yes, I can see you are joining me. You're joining. Yes, you're joining. I can see a few people joining me in that PowerPoint. Please join me in the PowerPoint. Here is the, that's the you can see the link, sorry. the link, yeah. Yes, if you've joined me, what I wanted us to do is that, because we understand about online conflict differently, I never want...
Sorry, Irene, I dropped the link for the presentation on the chat, but it's bit.ly/online conflict. So you're going to see that. I'm going to repeat it there right now, so you can actually join and put in the information as Irene has been talking about. Thank you.
Yes. I've also shared it in YouTube. And our Brinya Mawel, yes, I've also shared the link, so you can follow me here. Because what I want us to do is actually what do you understand by online conflict? Because online conflict is brought by very many different things, and most of the times we tend to think what is conflict is not, and what other people think is conflict is not. My idea here is that we are going to put together what we understand about online conflict together. We are going to put it together here, and we are going to type it in and say what we understand by online conflict, so that it is easier for us to define it. It is easier for us to say what it is. Please feel free to type in. Feel free to type in what you understand by online conflict, because we are the ones who are going to be working on this document. We are the ones who are going to be doing the things in the document. The document will be shared with you, and please feel free, write what do you understand by online conflict, and as we continue, stay on the document, because you'll be able to just write anytime you want. You can go to any of the slides as we proceed, and just enter your details. I do not like telling people what I know, because what I know is me, is what I've learned, is how I understood things. But how do you understand it? You, as a learner, as a facilitator, as a professor, as a doctor, as a primary school teacher, as a student. You've been a student at one point. How do you understand by online conflict? So if you could do that as we go on, I hope we can come back later and see what you've added in, what you understand by online conflict. Why we are touching on online conflict is because online conflict can actually change a lot of things in the way we do things. What happens is, someone will write something. Remember, all you can see is what people write. You can't see their face. You can't see why they are writing. You can't actually see their feelings. So what happens is, I have given permission for everybody to be able to edit. Actually, I've given permission for everybody to be able to edit. Anyone can edit. Anyone with the link can edit. Let me see if I have done that. Change. Done. Okay, I think when we changed the link, then it did that. I think now you are able to edit. Try again, please, and you'll be able to edit. Yeah. Yeah. Please give me feedback as on there and let me know. Yes, I've done the, yes. Now you are able to edit. Perfect. Yeah, you see, these things are called facilitation. Sometimes you don't know everything. Sometimes you agree that you missed out on something, and it's not too bad. So you continue, you learn together with your learners. So what you know about online conflict, what I was saying is you come back and find someone has written something outrageous. One of the things that I know is very conflicting is about religion. And religion issues bring a lot of conflict in online. So what do you understand by it? What do you understand by online conflict? Then there is something else here. The next slide, please. What is online violence? It's been going on a lot, and it's been talked about a lot. I do not want to, I know that there's online bullying. I know people have committed suicide because of being bullied online. But what do you understand? What do you understand by online violence? Is it only the online bullying? How you know, how do you understand it yourself? And one of the things, when you share things here, please leave them there. Do not delete other people's comments so that we can collect all these things. Remember, the slide will be shared with you in Moodle so that we can continue contributing to it or convert it to something that is more user-friendly in Moodle. What do you understand by online conflict, online violence? There's a lot of talk around this, but my issue with it is that it just talks about the online violence towards women mostly. But I am telling you, there's so much online violence for everybody online, from children to women to men, everybody. It's just that it depends on who starts a conversation, then it goes that way. The next one, please. So here, what are the causes? Why do we have online conflict and online violence? What are the causes? I think mostly I want people to think about the why behind what people bring up. Why is it happening? Sometimes we look at the superficial reasons. No. You have to find out why. And you can only do this by going deeper. You can only do this by talking to your learner, either one-on-one, writing to them, finding the suitable way of finding out why they are causing the conflict. If at all you found that there's conflict, or someone has reported it, or someone is unhappy, or you find that what they have posted or what they are talking about is actually hurtful or affecting the way you are working or affecting the contributions from the other people. So what causes, or why do we have online conflict or online violence? What happened? Are we too excited? Are we so easy to share anything that we get? Are we forgetting about being good online citizens? That is one of the things that we need to put in there and say, what do you believe are the causes? You, as the person here now, if you're on this slide, you will put in what you think causes or why we have online conflict and online violence. John, the next one, please. Now, is there a difference between online conflict and online violence, or are they intertwined? We'll also look at that as we continue. I am not going to give any answers here because then, because that's my opinion. I want you as the learner, as the person there, as the facilitator, to actually put in what you understand by the difference. What is the difference between the two? And then we'll have this discussion. You can, we can have this discussion when we are in Moodle throughout the week. Let me see. Yes, you can edit the document. You can edit. You can actually type in the document. You can type in. You can write anything. Yes, please. You can type in the document, please. You can type in that document. It's yours. It's your document. Please type in. Type in what you feel, where your thoughts take you as we move forward. So what is the difference? The next one, please. What should we do when there's conflict or violence in our virtual learning spaces? Remember, all you can see is what people write. Do we ignore? That is the easy thing that we usually do. We just ignore and sweep it under the carpet and hope that it goes. But I'm telling you that conflict, online conflict, actually can affect everything that you teach and throw you off guard. Do we remove the learner from the course or the forum that they have brought a conflict? Do we remove? What if it was a group that actually brought the conflict? Can we afford to throw out half of the class? No, we can't. So how do we deal with it? We need to come up with solutions, especially for this group. How are we going to deal with online conflict within our learning spaces? How do we deal with that? Because in every country, you have a way of dealing with things. You have a way you talk. You have a way you communicate. You have a way you do things. So it is very important to come up with your own way of dealing with this online conflict, with this online violence that happens in your spaces. Next one, please. So I am thinking that we will come up with our own quotes that we can use instead of using other people's quotes. Or we can actually share other people's quotes if you want. But this space, I would like you to actually write a quote that you feel about online violence. Either how we should discourage it, how it should be discouraged, or how it affects people, or whatever it is. I would like you to feel it from within you and write your own quotation, a quote that says online conflict affects people in this way, or online conflict has caused suicide, or online conflict has done this, or online violence is not good for this and that, it causes whatever it is that you feel. You are free to write it. Now, remember, this document is so open that you can create your own slide if you want. You can actually just go in and add a slide and add whatever it is that you'd like to add onto that document. This document is yours. You can do a lot of things on it and also learn from it. The next one, please, John. We can also add our resources here. Anything that you find online that is relevant to online conflict and online violence that you feel is going to help you or help the other person that comes in and reads this document, this is where you add. You can add the links, you can add whatever it is that you find out there about online conflict and online violence. Next one, please. I'm checking on time. So I thank you for being here. I thank you so much for listening. I think we can come up with our own ways of dealing with online conflict. I think we can come up with our own way of doing our work better, of being better people. The next two slides are thanking where I got the slides, these beautiful slides from. And the other one is a resource that I found with beautiful things that people can use. So I think we are here. Thank you for the people who have added some things into the slide, and let's hope that we can work on the slides together. Thank you, John. That's the end.
So, Irene, that's really wonderful presentation. Sorry, I think people are having an issue with the Bitly link. It was actually set to VLV only, but I'm going to resend another one right now that we'll be able to put in our contribution. So, Irene, thank you for a very interactive session. So, and I know throughout the week people will start to contribute, and I would love to make a quotable quote too about online violence and conflict as well. Yeah.
I have now changed it to be able to, I'm so sorry. I thought I did when I was talking, but now I've changed it so that everybody is not only a viewer, but an editor. Sorry about that. Yes, better. But you feel free. It's really open from now until whenever. Yes, it's open for you. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate that. Yes. So that's Irene for you. That's a very fantastic presentation. So Irene, we'll still bring you back in at the end of the class. So everybody, I want to thank all the facilitators that have actually spoken already right now. It's been really wonderful today. So I'm bringing on another fantastic person around here. Yes, so yeah, the MIE fellow Oluwakemi, she was available last week, and uh, you're welcome, madam.
Thank you. Nice to be here again.
So, do you have a presentation you want to share, or you just start straight up?
Okay. I have, well, a lot has already been said today. So let me do this. In a minute, I'll be sharing my slide.
Okay.
Sharing my, rather. Okay, let's see. Sorry, pardon me. Okay, so a lot has been said already. I mean, such instructive and educative sessions full of information about who a facilitator is and what we need to know and not do. And so basically, I'll be running my slides a very few, and I'm sure I'll just spend a few minutes, more like a cup up, or like an addition, maybe some sugar sprinkles on the cake. So just be looking at guidelines for facilitating online lessons. So as educators, or what do we need to know? Little things that will help our facilitating online lessons, little guide tips to help effective facilitation of online lessons, especially now that we have been thrown into remote teaching and we have to engage with our students using online tools. So I want to say that whether we are using the synchronous or asynchronous method, of course, we may be familiar with the synchronous method where students learn at the same time. One of the advantages of facilitating learning is that you are not responsible fully for your students' learning. They kind of have an ownership or responsibility to their learning achievements or the learning paths or their learning regulation. So unlike maybe when you're teaching, as a teacher teaching, you determine their learning, but when you facilitate, you kind of give them some form of ownership. And I know that engaging with our students at this point in time, we either doing it synchronously or asynchronously. Synchronously when we have the live engagement with the students at the same time, or we create content and we help them navigate the contents or the platform, and at their own time, they can learn on their own schedule. So these are the two very familiar styles that we are engaging across boards, across continents with our students. And we have some people who, some places where both styles are integrated. Some are strictly one or the other. But in any other way, most times when we, now that we are engaging with our students, we helping facilitate learning, even using online tools, especially at this time that we have to do a lot of remote learning. And so concerning the content, this has been addressed in one or two ways during the previous facilitators discussions. But we need, one of the things we need to do is also to understand that we cannot, just like when you have the face-to-face time out with your students, you can't automatically translate what you have done 50 minutes or 45 minutes, depending on how your class schedule is, face-to-face, and do the exact time, word for word, when you are facilitating online. So you have to ask yourself questions so that you ensure that at the end of your engagement, the core understanding that you want your students to have, that is what they are living with at the end of the lesson or units. And sometimes you are even breaking up your content into smaller units so that your students can engage with that content, get full understanding before moving to the other, because the opportunity to get you while you're teaching, stop you halfway, ask questions and all that, even during the synchronous engagements we have, sometimes is not as it is when we have the face-to-face engagement. So you have to ask yourself, what is the enduring understanding that your students need to have at the end of the lesson? And that should be your main focus in developing your content or designing your content or actually engaging your students with your content during when you facilitate your online learning. If you had only 10 minutes with your students, what is the most crucial information for me to give them or for them to retain? So if you can answer this question effectively and you ensure that your students are going away with every content or with every engagement, having the content that is core to them. So having said that, I'll start with my first tips and just a few guidelines on how we can easily facilitate learning online. I know a lot of us are using different kind of technology applications. You have the Moodle, you have the Google Classroom, you have the Microsoft Teams, you have the Blackboard. There are quite a number of technology you can use to engage with the students online, use to facilitate learning online. But one thing I just will share a few points that will help help facilitate the learning and help your students. So one of them is to post your lessons in the same place at the same time. So let students know where you'll be posting your materials for the day and be consistent. And so if, for instance, I'm more familiar with Teams, I use Teams, am I going to be posting them on the channels? Am I going to post them on the general channels or the class channels? And so the students know that at 9 a.m. every morning or every Tuesday or Thursday, there is a new content that I will be posting, and I endeavor as a teacher to ensure that I am consistent with that, so they don't go scampering looking for information, but know when and where they will find the information they will be looking for new content to engage, and let's consistent in our posting of content. Be sure to publish at the same time every day, or if it's bi-weekly, depending on your number of engagements with that set of students, let's be consistent in our posts. One other thing that would help is to remind and reinforce. So for your first few posts, you should begin with reiterating where and when your students should check for lessons. And like I said just before, remember your lessons will be posted on Tuesday by 9, and check on the general channel, whatever channels or whatever place, check on the social platforms, since we all use different kind of technology applications. But I assure you, you get the point, and and always include a reminder so that students always check that space at the time or after the time you have set the reminder. So please, that's one thing that would help facilitating learning online. Then emphasize the dates. Okay, so I have learned this from my experience recently, where I have engaged with a number of teachers and have done quite some training in this period. I will put a post, my first time, I will put a post and I will put the next post, and it will get lost in the thread. And so some people come up and say, oh, we didn't see that announcement, we didn't see that post. So I learned to put it per day, because it's easier for students to see continuity when it comes to dating. So if I say September 1st and I put my second post September, so whenever I make an announcement, for those who are familiar with Teams, I use my announcement and I would say, 3rd of July announcement, and I put what the content or the topic of the announcement is, or the title of the announcement, but I always put a date. And I found it so easy, because when somebody says, I couldn't find the link to this, or I couldn't find the post on that, I can easily tell the student, refer to the 3rd of July post, refer to the 15th of July post. So it's easier than using topics, maybe your topic
Uh, I think Oluwakemi's connection went bad, so uh, let's hope that she's able to reconnect quickly enough. Yeah. So while we look at that, I still have everything backstage, but okay. So I think she should be trying to reconnect. So I'll wait a minute for a presentation, but it's been really getting so fantastic listening to her before the network went back. But while we consider that, I'm going to bring on another presentation by Karen. So if Oluwakemi is able to get on back online, then we'll be able to get her on the platform. So let me bring up. Okay, yeah, Oluwakemi is coming back. Yeah, you're welcome back. Sorry, technology sucks at times. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I actually had to change my connectivity. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And so, okay,
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
almost through. I would
Yeah, bring up your presentation back, please.
just quickly
It's
wrap up
really,
and
yeah, exactly.
yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
So just a minute, please.
All right.
Okay, so yes, so I apologize for that break. And so what I was talking about was basically emphasizing on dates in your post. If you title your post the day of the week, it makes it easy. And then so especially for those who maybe fall behind, they weren't able to be online for a particular time, they can easily go through the post and follow the sequence of the dates and know what came before what, and it will help them to keep on track. All right, and so another tip I would like to drop is try to link everything. So when you are creating a post, if you want them to do a further reading, let the link be on that post. If you want them to take a quiz, if it's possible to also put the link on that same post so that you don't say everything is neatly put together. It may take you an extra minute to link a document, but it's definitely going to be very helpful in the end. So you don't have links that are lost in the post, and then you students not getting to see the links, or like you create a post and then put another post with the links and all that. So when you're creating your document or what you need to share, if you want further reading concerning a topic, you can link the word to it. You can insert your links to or other resources there on the posts, so that at on the same platform at one contact, they have access to all other activities that you require them to do. It makes it easier for our students to fully engage with the content when everything is put in one place. And one thing also that will help is to, at the end of each session, at the end of this post, if you can include a summary of the previous day's post. So it may not be the previous days, it may be the previous week, depending on how many times you get to interact with your students per week. But like, it's helpful for kids who tend to access the coursing consistently, and being that it's also at the end of the post, those who were in the class or had engaged with the content previously can equally just skip it. But those who haven't at least know what they missed, and they can go back to that and add that learning to what they have just learned and help consolidate the understanding of the present content that they're engaging with. So that's something else that will be helpful once you're able to do that while you're making the present post. And so there are many things you consider while working with your students online, while considering your facilitation. You consider the technology they will be using and their access to technology. And that's why I'm giving these tips, because for instance, if I put the summary of my post of the previous ones, those students who have to share technology or cannot be online when I am can also follow with content. And like we said, facilitation is about helping students own their own learning, be responsible for their own learning and all that. And so we have to consider all this when we're creating content or considering our delivery style. We also consider your students' emotional needs. in all that also, because we know we have never experienced this situation, and even as educators and as parents, we have our challenges with it. We should be aware that even the students will have their personal emotional challenges. So to make it easier for them to navigate their learning will be very helpful. You know, anything that would seem to be like a roadblock at any point in time may be very discouraging and can actually drop their morale for their learning. So you have to consider that. Include other things in your content. Include other things in your instructional design. Things that may be a bit off task, but still related to task. Something fun, something you know that they can experience beyond your content. If they you want them to deliver the assignments in a variety of ways, they can act it, they can sing it, they can draw it. You know, if there's a way you can use the multidisciplinary approach in your own asking for your students' feedback or response or projects, then I think it would also help them with their online learning. And of course, bandwidth. So you don't want them watching videos that are heavy or very heavy content and all that, or you don't want them engaged for hours being online and all that. So we have to consider various bandwidth access. And then, of course, other demands on the students, especially at a time like this. So these are, by the time we put all this into consideration and then maybe pick a tip or two from what I've shared, I'm sure that we'll be able to facilitate our learning better for the students as we engage with them online. So thank you so much for listening. And I hand over to Mr. John.
Wow, thank you, madam. That was, I know it seemed to be kind of like rushed, but this is a very fantastic presentation. So thank you very much for doing this. So while I take you back to the backstage, I'm going to bring up another fantastic presentation that I have here, but I'll only be able to play just a part of it. And I will encourage us to go to the Moodle shell in order for you to be able to listen to it properly. So let's go.
Cartoon we have there, the small dog, the puppy, got a report back that he had been a bad dog, and he's saying that he's going to need more specific feedback on his formative assessment, that is, to be able to grow. Just like we give feedback in a face-to-face setting, we also give feedback in an online setting. And that can be both in a synchronous as in an asynchronous discussion forum or any other type of activity or assignment. So there are a number of purposes for feedback, and I'm going to give them one by one. And I'll also provide you with a couple of examples. So the first reason why we give feedback is to acknowledge and to encourage. So you need to acknowledge immediately when people give a reply, a response, and this will also encourage others to keep going. So simple acknowledgements communicate that you are present. So we are talking about that online presence again, and that you are following the conversation. So that can be a small question or a comment, which can be reassuring. And you can also have some emoticons that you can use for head nodding. Yes, I'm listening to you, or saying, uh-huh, or saying, keep going, you know. For example, John, thanks for getting us started this week. Or Irene, your comment on the speaker's position is taking us down an interesting path. I look forward to seeing where it takes us. Or Karen, thank you for stating your position so clearly. The second purpose of feedback is to prompt and confirm deeper engagement and thinking. And I'm going to give you the examples immediately so that you can deduct what is going on. George, your insight on the challenges of leadership in business suggests that we might see similar patterns in other professions. Could you expand on your thinking in this area? Or another example, thank you for a thought-provoking discussion so far. Several of you have commented that you disagree with the author's claim, but I'd like to hear more about other managerial strategies. That is, if we're working in an economics or in a management or in a business environment. So feedback this time is given to question, to challenge, to suggest a pattern, to ask a follow-up question. So that can be given collectively, or it can also be given individually to your different students. The next.
So, just a minute. So we're going to be continuing that session on the Moodle shell. So the full video is going to be available for everybody on the Moodle shell. So please turn in into the Moodle shell for you to be able to watch the amazing part of the feedback. Karen talks so much about the feedback for online learners there. So as online facilitators, it's really, really interesting how you do a feedback to the learners. So I'm going to bring every other person backstage on stage right now. Karen is already here. Yeah, Jenny, Irene, so I'm going to remove this. So thank you very much for the presentation today. And we've been studying, looking at the charts. I would give every one of us just perhaps 30 seconds or whatever you. If you picked up a question that one of the or a response or something that you want to quickly mention before we round up, you can go ahead to do that. I'll start with Jenny. Hello, Jenny.
Well, I can't. Hello. I can't say that I picked up anything, but if anyone wants to add a comment quickly, that's okay too. One of the things that I saw interest from you, John, was this idea of the stop, start, continue. Very quick little survey that you can do with students to ask them, how is it going? That's really what you want to know. What else might I be able to do that will be helpful to you? So I encourage you to think through that. But I think there's such an amazing spectrum of great content this week that we'll probably have more conversations in the Moodle shell as we facilitate and hear from you there. And hopefully we're good facilitators. It would be bad if we weren't.
That's interesting. So yeah, so like what you said, it's very important. I'm going to there's going to be something on the Moodle platform for that, so that we can actually say what they've actually been experiencing and how they feel about this. It's very, very important. So we're going to do what we practice what we teach, basically. So Irene, can you give me something, please?
I think the presentations were beautiful and wonderful. I love the everything. What we need to remember is that we can continue this conversation on Moodle, and then it's all of us that have the information. It's not one person. So remember that facilitation is not about giving people the information. It's about sharing the information that you have. I have not seen any questions, but now the document is free and you can type in anything that you feel is relevant. Thank you.
All right. So, Oluwakemi, final words?
Well, I think I would say what I took away personally is the modometer that Irene shared. And I think that is something that we also should endeavor to check on with our students and all that. Sometimes we just assume that all is well, and then we go on and also share the content, and we're out of there. But I think checking on their modometer will actually help them know, because somebody says that way to reach their mind is actually to go through their hearts. And once they know that you care about them, not just wanting to chuck some information at them. It will help with their learning, help us help them in their learning. So that's a good one for me.
Yeah, that's a very nice one. So the moodometer, you make me to remember that. So Karen.
Yeah, from my side, I think what was very important today is that we've touched on lots of different points that have to do with facilitation of learning and also online facilitating. So we've got bits and pieces that should get a really great discussion going this week. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so on that note, please join us on the Moodle Codorina Learning Portal, where you'll be able to do a whole lot of exchange. The facilitators are going to be available to um, answer your questions, make some comments and all that. And it's really good. When I check the forum, it's always a very refreshing part because there's some conversation that makes it really, really fantastic. And for this particular class, I know there are some questions that you're going to see and we want your perspective. Irene has actually started that, and it's not just something you think about, but you've actually been going through a whole lot of things in your class right now. So what do you think? What are the mistakes that you think you have actually done that we all can learn from? So it's a whole learning process as facilitators, and when you bring that online, it's going to really make the difference in your class. So till we come your way, okay, you're going to see us on the Moodle Shell. So, but next week we're going to have another session. So thank you very much and have a lovely time. So thank you, my facilitators. So help us to say big thank you to all our facilitators. They've done really fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah.